Hey, good morning, Choice Residential. Hope your day's off to a wonderful start. Today, I want to just draw your attention to two things that we ask you to provide as part of your new listing loop. This is part of our compliance transaction file. I want to make sure you understand why we ask for these two things and why they are important. That is a copy of the deed and a copy of the MLS sheet signed by the seller. So let's start with the deed. We ask that you put a copy of the deed in the transaction file. That is a way to show that you have in fact checked the deed to make sure that those names line up with what is on your listing agreement and who is signing the listing agreement. Sometimes they don't line up, and that's okay. Might be perfectly normal, but that does then raise the question of why doesn't it match? Is there a spouse? Is there someone who's deceased? Is it owned in an LLC? These are things that we need to know so that we can navigate how to accurately fill out the listing agreement and make sure that we have the correct people signing the listing agreement and all future contract paperwork. So the first thing is starts with pulling the deed to see if there are any potential red flags there. So that's why we ask for a copy of that. Make sure you have it in there before the house goes active. Go ahead and pull that once you know you're going to be listing the home. Put it in dot loop so that we have it there. Doesn't do us any good if you're pulling that at the end of the transaction. Same thing goes for the MLS sheet signed by the sellers. Sometimes agents are forgetting to get that, and then you're going back after it's closed and trying to get that from the sellers. That doesn't really do us any good, and it doesn't provide the liability protection, which is the whole point of getting it signed up front. So what we're doing when we're asking you to have the seller sign a copy of the MLS sheet is to prove that they saw the MLS listing, they saw the description that you wrote, they saw the data and information that is contained in that listing, and they approved it. That way they can't come back later and say, oh, well, we didn't know that you said this about the property, or you put in there that it has a gas furnace, but really it's an electric heat pump, or the number of bedrooms or bathrooms or square footage or something that you wrote in the description they don't like. We want to make sure the seller has seen and approved that. That is a way to limit your liability and make sure that the seller is on the hook for having approved the information contained within that listing. So again, it doesn't do us any good if that comes in later. So before you ever receive an offer on the property, as soon as that listing goes active in the MLS, part of your standard operating procedure should be to reach out to the seller, say, hey, congratulations, your home is on the market. Here's a copy of the listing. Please take a look. Let me know if everything looks okay. Once you give me the thumbs up, I'm going to send you a copy of this to sign or initial. That should be part of the process every time you take a listing. So please make sure you're getting those documents in early and every time. That will help us tremendously with compliance and protecting you as you navigate these listing transactions. If you have questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Always happy to help and explain things further. Otherwise, until next time, take care.